Welcome to today's Explainer. We are diving headfirst into an absolute mind-bender of a genetic detective story pulled straight from a recent interview with researcher Dean Radin. We're going to explore that fascinating, slightly blurry intersection where cutting-edge genetics meet some of our most ancient human mysteries.
So we're kicking things off with a massive question today. Is intuition, or what some cultures might straight up call psychic talent, actually a heritable genetic trait? Like, is it passed down through generations just like your eye color? For centuries, people just brushed this off as folklore, right? But modern science is finally catching up to the mystery, and the answers are wild. Ryden and his team decided, hey, let's actually investigate this folklore neutrally, using the strict scientific method. As he points out, when extraordinary abilities consistently cluster within specific families, it strongly points toward an underlying biological blueprint. They wanted to see if they could find actual physical evidence of this in the human genome.
Section 1. The Psychic Gene Mystery. All right, let's crack open the case file on their first major experiment. The whole goal was to isolate the genetic markers of people who claim to have these extraordinary abilities. The team initially cast a really wide net, recruiting about 3,000 people from the internet who explicitly claimed, yes, I come from a highly psychic family and I have these talents myself. But, as you know, science is expensive, and rigorous scientific validity takes a lot of work. Because of budget constraints and the need to weed out psychological issues or just pure coincidence, they had to distill that massive pool down through intense face-to-face vetting. Out of 3,000, they ended up with just 13 highly vetted, genuinely talented subjects, and they sequenced their DNA. Section 2. The DNA Switch Twist. Okay, get ready for a plot twist, literally straight out of a sci-fi thriller. The scientists naturally assumed that the psychics would have some sort of special mutation giving them a power, right? Nope. Surprisingly, the psychics had totally normal base-level wild-type DNA. It was actually the non-psychic control group that carried a significant genetic mutation. To totally get why this matters so much, we have to talk about intron sequences. Decades ago, scientists used to just dismiss this stuff as junk DNA. But now, we know this part of our biology is highly epigenetic. Think of it like a giant master switchboard that's responsible for turning specific genes on and off. So, the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that this mutation wasn't adding some new, shiny ability to the human race. Instead, it was an intron sequence acting to turn psychic sensitivity off in the non-psychic control group. The regular folks actually possessed a mutation suppressing the trait, which obviously led researchers to a profound question: how on earth did humanity acquire this genetic off switch? Section 3. The Inquisition's Genetic Legacy. To solve the mystery of this widespread genetic suppression, Radin's team had to zoom way out, pivoting from microscopic DNA to massive historical events. Basically, the study suggests that countries with longer exposures to institutional Christianity, and specifically terrifying events like the Inquisition, actually systematically pruned people with these traits from the gene pool over hundreds of years. Think about it. Historical data shows that healers, precognitives, and highly intuitive folks were frequently targeted and eliminated as witches. Any alternative sensitivities outside the bounds of the church were seen as a massive threat to their control. So the theory posits that history systematically removed these talents in what is basically a non-evolutionary reverse eugenics program. The result? Our modern leftover populations heavily carry that mutated, suppressed intron sequence. Section 4. Big data and SN keys. To see if this dark historical hypothesis actually held up on a much larger scale, the researchers turned to modern big data. Using thousands of genetic profiles from commercial databases like 23andMe and Ancestry, the team cross-referenced the genetics with questionnaires about intuitive experiences. And guess what? They found exactly 212 distinct SNPs. Those are single nucleotide polymorphisms, just tiny pieces of the genome, that directly correlated with psychic experiences. Now, check out this astonishing number from the data. The strongest of these genetic correlations had a probability of 1 million to 1. Let that sink in. This isn't just statistical noise or a rounding error. This indicates a highly significant, undeniable biological link between our DNA and our intuition. This brilliantly illustrates how the physical, hard science world of genetics might actually weave together with the totally subjective world of human consciousness. It proves we aren't just talking about abstract magic here, guys. We are talking about identifiable fragments of our biological coding. Section 5. Engineering human potential.
Okay, so if these abilities are just dormant genetic traits governed by chemical switches, the next logical, albeit very sci-fi question is, can we just turn them back on? Radin actually helped form a company called Cognetics to explore exactly this. They've theorized a literal chemical key using intranasal delivery, essentially a nose spray, of RNA interference. This spray crosses the bone right into the brain's limbic system, downregulating specific receptors to massively alter how the brain functions.
Currently, their primary target is curing dementia, and the preclinical animal trials have been nothing short of stunning. Mice and rats showed a 100% improvement in memory alongside a massive reduction in anxiety. They even tested it on aggressive monkeys. The compound completely chilled them out, all while tracking real cognitive boosts in their aging brains.
Now, here is the really fascinating part about how this actually works. The RNA treatment targets the exact same 5-H2A receptors that psilocybin, magic mushrooms, target. But unlike a temporary hallucinatory mushroom trip that totally overloads this receptor, this RNA interference precisely and semi-permanently dials it down. It opens up previously inaccessible neural pathways, but without the chaotic trip. So while the immediate, very pragmatic goal is curing devastating diseases like dementia, Radin acknowledges the absolute elephant in the room here. By intentionally modifying these exact genetic pathways, we could theoretically reverse the Inquisition's genetic pruning. We could literally be talking about reawakening dormant human potential, all with a nasal spray. But hold on, because artificially granting ordinary humans profound sensitivities or some sort of hive mind-like connectivity introduces massive ethical and societal nightmares. Without the years of deep psychological discipline and ego control that mystics and monks practice, ordinary people might easily abuse this kind of power. We're talking about potentially catastrophic disruptions to our entire social fabric. Plus, aside from all that historical pruning we talked about, evolution itself likely created some of these genetic blocks for a very good reason: survival. If you are completely focused on sensing the universe and reading thoughts, you're definitely going to miss the physical tiger standing right in front of you. If we just bypass thousands of years of evolutionary protection in an instant, we might not be biologically or psychologically prepared for the reality we unlock.
Which brings us to the end of today's explainer and leaves us with one final ultimate question. If this technology hits the market tomorrow to cure memory loss, but it carries the potential to unlock a completely new paradigm of human consciousness, would you take it? Just because we can genetically flip the switch on the human mind, does it really mean we should? Thanks so much for watching, and as always, keep questioning the world around you.